Welcome to Optimize Your Body with Martin Silva. I've got my boy Andrew Bond on the line again over there in New York. So we're just going to go with the flow today, right, Drew? How you doing over there, mate?
Good, man. Good. The weekend has arrived, so I'm looking forward to it. But I've been a little bitch today, actually, mate. It's been
nothing new there, mate.
Really productive week. And then this morning I woken up in a foul mood. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know if you have days like that where nothing is wrong. You have a great, your life's been great for the full week. You've been super productive.
Sure, man.
And all of a sudden I'm hating on everything, and I'm hating myself and all sorts. I don't know what's going wrong.
That's it.
Got out of the bed this morning for some reason.
Get up on the wrong side of the bed, and that's unusual for a Friday as well, isn't it? I get that as well, mate. It's like sometimes you just, stress about stupid things, isn't it? Sweat the small stuff.
Had a solid sleep, got up and did a good training session, and all of a sudden I'm just down in the dumps, man. It's just a weird one. I don't know if the listeners get that as well, but
probably. But it's probably just your time of the month, mate. I'm sure all the women will get it. It's probably just your time of the month.
Sure, we do get it, definitely, man. Men definitely get that time of the month, no doubt about it.
100%, mate. No, I get that as well, mate. I sometimes can't put my finger on it as well. Like I'll wake up and you just get into that kind of negative cycle in your mind, don't you? You're like, what's going on here? And you're thinking, what did I do yesterday? What did I do that was different yesterday?
What did I watch? What did I do? Like, was it last night? Did I watch something wrong that put me off for the day? Or it's just strange, and I'm sure everyone goes through the same. I hope everyone goes through the same thing. But this week, I've been feeling sky high.
Yeah.
Perhaps I'm just too high, and then it just brings me back down a notch.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
There's
I know.
Nothing on that triggered it off anyway. So
I'll tell you what I found this week is because I've been, the last 2 weeks actually, because I've been doing this course online and doing more stuff on my laptop. Mate, it doesn't make you feel good, Drew. It really doesn't make you feel good, mate. Honest to God, no. You're obviously on your phone as well for X amount of time as well. I try not to abuse that too much now, in terms of wasting time and scrolling and stuff, like we said on the last episode. But just the electrical activity on the brain and that constant state of stress, mate, it's not pleasant, man. It's really not. Like today's Saturday, and I don't feel. Like you said, I've had enough sleep and stuff, but I don't feel as fresh as I normally do, man.
No, I spent all day online yesterday. Not online as such, but I was doing like a spreadsheet for a business that I'm trying to push back home. And I felt like really great doing it all day, like working, knuckling down to it. And then maybe that's the problem. Maybe too much stimulus on the computer, and it's just hit me hard this morning. But
that's what I was thinking. I just saw on your Instagram, you were planning and stuff.
Yeah, mate, but again, that's been triggering me off today, Instagram. So I've stayed off that as much as I can. Like, people might put the most beneficial post up there, but I'll hate on it today. It's that type of day. So.
You're having a hate. You're sipping on your hate juice today, mate.
Everyone else, mate, they've got better lives than me and this and that, but I've got a great life at the moment, so I've got to be grateful for that. I've even done my gratitude log this morning. That didn't seem to help, so who knows what's going on.
Good, mate. I'll tell you what, what's been going on there, because here yesterday, actually Thursday, some guy jumped off the Sydney Tower. It's literally the tallest building in the whole of Southern Hemisphere. Mate, it's a big old building, and a guy apparently, so I hear. Obviously, depression in men is on the rise, right? I think 1 in 3 men suffer from depression, and whether or not he was actually depressed, but he obviously had something going on there. But apparently, he went up to this. He had to plan it out because, health and safety measures up there, right? Right at the top on this building, is you've got the Westfields. It's like a restaurant, and obviously the Westfield Shopping Centre. It's called the Westfields Tower. Right at the top of there, you can do like a tourist thing where they attach you to the thing, and you can walk around the observation deck.
Same on the bridge, right? They tie you up and you walk across the bridge. Is it a similar type of thing there?
That's right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking though. But I've done the bridge climb, and you couldn't jump off there, mate, because you are tied onto the rail, so there's no way off. This is what I'm trying to get my head around. But apparently, he went up there a few times to test it out, to do the tourist thing, see if he could actually suss it out. And then he went up there and he just managed. I don't know how he's done it exactly, but he's unclipped himself, mate. Jumped off, landed on the main road. Yeah, landed on the main road on Castlereagh Street. Wow. Can you imagine seeing that, mate? Can you imagine someone splattering in front of you? That would be traumatic, mate, wouldn't it?
It's traumatic enough seeing it, but even doing it, man. To how you've definitely got to hit rock bottom to get to that point in your life that you kill yourself,
Definitely, mate.
It's a hard one to contemplate, really, when you think about it. But for him to plan it out like that as well, was he, whether it was depression or he was looking for the news, he was looking to get on the news.
Yeah, exactly. No, I see what you mean.
You know what's going on in people's minds these days.
I know, man. They'll literally sacrifice their life to sometimes. But yeah, we don't know what's going on there, but we'll find out soon. But it's alarming, man, because it's just very interesting. Because I'm reading this book now on the gut, and it's just crazy how over the last, say, 30 years, this is one element, but ever since the food industry has kind of corrupted us with all this crap food, processed food. Obviously, the obesity epidemic is now upon us, chronic illnesses and stuff, but also mental health.
Links to cancer as well, right? Yeah,
for sure. What's your thoughts, though? Because remember we had a chat about this on the other episode with mental health illness on the rise so fast, especially in men. I know now it's evened out a bit, but over the last, say, 5-10 years, I mean, we did say social media play a part in it, and, potentially what they're putting in the body, because let's face it, there's a huge link, and it will definitely make a difference to how you feel mentally based on what you eat. But yeah, what do you think about it, mate?
I think it's definitely linked to. I'm going to put it out there. It's linked to like sweeteners and stimulants and things like that, mate. Because my experience is taking pre-workout. Like I honestly remember that I was upping it to 1-2 scoops before the session, and then post-session, like I'd crash extremely badly, and I just feel terribly mentally, like back in that hole after my session. And you should be getting those endorphins released after a training session.
For sure.
For me, just a huge crash. And I just feel down and depressed after that. So for me, it's got to be something to do with these artificial sweeteners. I know there's back and forth in the fitness industry saying they're safe for you, this and that, but there's no long-term studies. We don't know the true effects of them. And for me, personally, because I know how it feels when I take them, there's definitely an issue there. So I don't know how you feel about
100%.
Supplements. Is there any difference in your mental clarity or how you feel?
Yeah, I can relate to that 100%. Because I remember the hemorrhage days, mate. You introduced me to that one.
Christ, man.
Oh, I know. By the way, mate, it's like back in the day, you kind of sample every different pre-workout, don't you? Which one's going to give me that feeling of euphoria? I think I told you, mate, I barely used to train on it. I used to just chat to people in the gym. No. I couldn't stop talking to people.
No. We took it for nights out, right? It wasn't for
exactly.
For gym.
That was funny. That was hilarious, mate.
The trouble was, at one stage, so used to doubling up on that.
I know.
Before going in the session.
It's hilarious.
It's so powerful, mate. And I didn't know how they, if they approved the use of, how they approved the use of that.
I think they used to find loopholes. It used to be legal, and then they used to ban them and stuff. But that was more with the pro hormones that they used to release back in the day. Which are like pretty much steroids, but you could buy them in shops, and then they would ban them straight away, wouldn't they? When the certain laws come into place. But yeah, no, I could agree with you, mate, on the on how I feel when I compare how I feel mentally. Not just my relationship to food, but just generally. Ever since I cut out supplements, which in turn meant I was cutting out a shitload of artificial sweeteners, right? A shitload. Yeah. And the thing is, like someone mentioned before on a podcast, they don't on anything actually. This is across the board. They don't seem to have to state how much sweetener they're putting in there, right? Have you noticed that? With like sugar, you've got it in grams and whatever else, fat. Sweetener, because it's non-nutritive food, right? Non-nutritive sweetener. There's no nutrition in it whatsoever, no calories. They don't actually put how much. So it'd be interesting to see on the protein. Think of the protein shakes we used to have, and they used to sometimes have like 3 or 4 a day.
But you've got to think about the flavors these days, right?
Flavors, that's what I'm getting at. How do they make it taste like that?
Huh?
How do they make it taste like that?
Raspberry Ripple. Make American pie flavor or carrot cake flavor. I don't know, whatever they're coming up with these days.
Carrot cake flavor, that sounds wicked, mate. That's a good idea, that.
My favourite, mate, you know that.
Carrot cake flavour, wow, what an idea that is, Drew.
But they're coming up with these flavours, right? They're so strong, right, and so potent that they taste exactly like what you're eating in a cafe or.
Yeah.
It's insane the amount of stuff they must, or sweeteners they must put in them these days. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, raspberry ripple flavour. I remember this when I used to go through my bad times of binge eating. I used to have Cymex. Oh, sorry, I'm going to mention them. Cymex protein, right? Exactly. Plug. No, hell no. Just to clarify that one, folks, I'm not sponsored by a supplement company. So I used to have a bowl of oats and add like 2 scoops of the raspberry ripple flavour in there.
That's good, right?
I know, mate. And then I would smash in another bowl.
Powder, mate.
Mate, exactly. Mix that in with the oats, then add some almond butter, banana, obviously on the munchies. And it would just be like, and then that would trigger. That would be most likely after I'd already eaten sweet stuff. So the sweet stuff, that's the funny thing. The processed stuff would lead me on to the sweetener, right? So,
100%.
So what was I telling you?
Fat trigger.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm having like Mars bars and stuff, and then I'm finishing with the sweeteners. So what's that telling you?
You feel that's a healthy snack to finish with, right? You feel like a healthy snack, Coke,
healthy snack.
That's there, right? And protein bar. You think, I'm just going to finish on a healthy snack. I'm going to end it well.
Exactly.
Really, that's another how many calories?
Exactly.
1,000 calories at the end of the night.
That's it. Directly before bed most of the time as well. That's it. So I don't know if any of you folks out there take supplements and protein bars and stuff. Like I had a girl approach me in the gym actually the other day, and she was like, "Oh, can you recommend any healthy protein bars?" And to be fair, she was actually quite clued up. She was like, "Oh, listen, all my mates are obviously eating crap." She was a student, eating crap food all the time. Can you recommend any good protein bars, any healthy ones? And I said, "Listen," I said, "none of them are particularly healthy, right? If you look at the list on the back of each one." That's gonna give you put two and two together.
Bars you're gonna justify, right?
That's exactly what I said to her, Drew.
You saw in your story the other day, mate. You had I don't know what you had, like a healthy, or you had some dates or whatever, and then that led you on to Quest bars.
That led me on to Quest bars again.
I saw your story. You had two before bed, man.
That's it. That's the finish.
I was thinking that little hit of sugar earlier in the day.
Exactly.
Boom, you're into the Quest bars in the evening. It's crazy how it does it to you, right?
100%, and that's the obviously sucralose. Well, my voice is echoing all of a sudden now. That's a bit off-putting. That's all right. So yeah, the Quest bar. It's got sucralose in, right? That's better, mate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he's done there, but I've stopped echoing now. That put me right off my game then. Jesus, stopped me right on my tracks there, mate. Yeah, but Quest bars have got sucralose in, right? Which we all deem to be healthy, or at least the most healthy out of all the artificial sweeteners. But now the new studies are telling us actually sucralose is probably one of the worst. It's 600 times sweeter than sugar. Yeah, right. It does really. I heard Lane Norton on the Mind Pump podcast yesterday, and I mean before he even. Oh yeah, exactly. It does kill a lot of.
He was chomping on not chomping on one, sipping on a Monster energy can as he was on the interview, right?
Exactly, mate. That's it. And obviously, sucralose does kill off good bacteria, and it just wipes out your gut flora in general and microbiome. But then he was saying, but they haven't got conclusive studies to say it wipes out your bad bacteria, and it'll probably take about another 5 to 10 years for those studies to come to light. So it's like okay, but obviously it doesn't.
When you take it, for him and other people who are linked to supplements, obviously he has his own carbon supplements, then he's going to promote sweeteners, right? He'd be a fool not to,
Exactly right, yeah.
Pushing on everyone, but if you are linked to a supplement company or you're actually selling them yourself, then you're going to say artificial sweeteners are safe because you want to make as much money in that short period of time in the next 5 to 10 years. Ultimately, you can get from that. So as a smart guy to do that, he's going to push it no matter what the science says, or
100%. Let's give the listeners a bit whilst we're on this topic then, because obviously we've just gone freestyle today. We didn't actually. This is not scripted, folks. By the way, I just give Andrew a Skype call, and we're just going to flow today. But yeah, whilst we're on the topic of sweeteners, might as well drop a little bomb, drop some gems on what they do real quick. So a lot of people out there think, all right, okay, so if I have low sugar option, or if I'm having say protein shakes or protein bars or any of these supplements, they're perfectly safe. They taste good as well, right? So it's like, oh, okay, it's almost like, oh yeah, you look forward to it sometimes. But the sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, really, like I said, then affect your gut flora. So it tricks your brain essentially. It tricks your brain into thinking it's getting sugar, right? So it's going to have a similar effect in the body as to when you consume sugar. But obviously there's no calories in it. Sucralose, like I just said, is 600 times sweeter than sugar, right? So what does that tell you? It's not going to be ideal. They've done studies, as I said on one of the other episodes, they've done studies on people now as well, because obviously it was just studies on rats, but they linked it to much higher rates of cancer. I can't remember what the type of cancer was, but they increased it by 208%. So sucralose, using that was...
Something linked to stomach cancer, surely, or not?
Stomach cancer, yeah, it might have been that, but it was ridiculous. But yeah, I was just going to say one more thing about it then, yeah, so... I can't remember what I was going to say about it then. Go on, carry on, mate. What was your take on it?
Oh, my fault, man.
That's all right, mate.
Sorry.
No, go on.
Didn't you there? I was getting excited. But
that's what I was going to say. Yeah, sucralose. On that note, obviously sucrose is a form of sugar, and what sucralose is, it's a processed version of that sucrose, but it's pretty bad. But they put it through a chlorification process, so they chlorify it, and then it makes it carcinogenic. Hence why they're linking it to different types of cancer and also other sweeteners as well, which Although they're saying you need to have a copious amount of sweetener, like aspartame, for example, because they're linking that to, like, I don't know, tumours and Alzheimer's and that kind of stuff as well. But they say you have to have like an insane amount. But even so, though, I would just try and be mindful, right?
You know, if you were like me and you were probably 3 years ago, right? I can't remember how long it was when I gave up supplements. At least 2 years, I'd say. Right. This is how my day would probably go. I would maybe eat in the morning, right, and then I would have a pre-workout, then I would have amino acids during my workout, and post-workout I would have a shake with some dextrose or maybe some Vitago, and then after that I may have another shake mixed with some oats. So how much is a copious amount? Because how do you kind of regulate that?
Exactly. What they've done, because what they're saying is the studies with aspartame, for example, were done in rats, right? So obviously humans, being a hell of a lot bigger than rats and having like our microbiome, we have like 100 trillion, by the way, folks, I read in this book, or 100 trillion different types of, basically bacteria cells in our body. So that's 90% of our body is bacteria, essentially, and 10% is human cells, right? So just think about that for a second, right? And our microbiome would weigh roughly around about 2 kilos. As disgusting as that sounds, we have roughly around about, depending on the size of the person, but 2 kilos of microbiome, bacteria in our gut, right? We are, what we eat becomes a part of us. So just bear that in mind, right? It's not really a joke. Anyway, on that note, I still have sweeteners, as we just said then. I'd say about once a week. Once a week I'll still treat myself to a couple of Quest bars. Exactly, and maybe one or two other things, but I'm always mindful. I never have aspartame. Never have that now because I don't have Diet Cokes anymore and stuff like that.
What about chewing gum, mate? You eat chewing gum?
I don't have chewing gum, mate. No, I don't. Never.
That's what I need to change. I'm hooked on chewing gums, mate. I'm not going to lie about that. I'll have sometimes two packs a day.
Yep.
I don't know why, mate. I don't know what it's related to. Maybe it's related to taking those supplements previously, and I just still need that hit. But I definitely trying to work on that in my diet, where I've got to cut down on chewing them, because I'm sure that could cause an issue. I don't know if there's any science on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself, mate. I wouldn't call it an issue, mate, chewing gum. But yeah, I just want the listeners to know we're quite normal. But we're just to let you know, guys, we're just a bit more like self-aware than the average person when it comes to sweetness. Go on, Karen. Don't be too hard on yourself, bro. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. No, because there's definitely a few elements to that, isn't there? Obviously, psychological, probably with the sweeteners, they taste good, and also it just keeps your mouth busy, right? So it's almost like something to occupy you, isn't it? It's like a distraction from I don't know what. You know what I'm saying? What is it? See what I mean? It's like that most of these things we do, these short-term pleasures. Like, do I need to have sweeteners once a week? Obviously, folks, I'm not saying that. I'm not like this weirdo who just really, I have a life is what I'm trying to say is, but do I need to have that hit of sweeteners, because that then will lead to overconsumption of food. I don't need that food, so what's the psychological part to that? Why am I eating that food? I don't need the food. It's just an example. I'm just doing it because I want pleasure. Obviously, we all know that, and we've got to live. But why do we want these short-term fixes? Is I guess the question, isn't it?
Is it from it's probably linked from something in your childhood where you were eating, like, I know that when I went to school, like, I was always coming home from school, I was eating sweets, so I was eating candy or whatever as they call it here in America, ice cream. I'm not saying I was, when I grew up in an Italian household, so I had lots of home cooked meals. I did have a sweet tooth, and I'd eat a lot of crisps as well, so maybe there's some sort of link to childhood that I feel like I need it every day. Who knows? But the majority of things we do now are related to what happened when we were younger.
100%, yeah, definitely. And what I found interesting, just when you were saying that, then it reminded me of that Lane Norton interview. So, guys, Lane Norton is the guy who kind of he created the flexible dieting, if it fits your macros, wave right hand.
Yep.
He's a very, very clever guy, and I do like the guy. Obviously, we don't fully agree with IFYM. But we do, like we said on the other episode, we do believe in some of it, and we do agree with some of the method behind it. But yeah, he was saying sugar, and Sal pulled him up on this actually. He said sugar's not addictive, is what he said, and I was like, well, really? He said, obviously it depends on the person. Yeah, it does depend on the person, but just like Sal said to him, they engineer these foods for them to be highly palatable. And like you just said then, when we were younger, I would have a McDonald's, for example. Mum would treat me to a McDonald's once a week after I play rugby on a Sunday. I'd have that every week. When I was a really young kid, it'd be a Burger King once a week she would treat me to. We didn't have a great deal of money. We weren't like on the streets poor, but we weren't particularly wealthy, so the foods I used to eat weren't the best quality foods. They were like frozen cheap foods from like Iceland and stuff like that, you know. But I'm perfectly healthy today. But would that play a part in my relationship with food? Of course it would, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. And their argument, they say you're not addicted to sugar. Their argument is that would you really sit down with a bag of sugar and a spoon and eat it all?
That's a silly way to put it.
That's the argument they turn up, you know. So, I guess they're saying what they're saying is that when it's the combination of the fat, the sugar together, then that's when it becomes a big issue.
Absolutely.
There has to be something there, you know?
Definitely.
Why is everyone becoming so obese? Even if they control their calories, and calories the only thing that matters, why is the obesity epidemic continuing to grow? And why is the increase in disease as well and the rates of disease continuing to grow?
Exactly. And the thing is, folks, it's like when you're having food which comes out of a packet, 90%, like I said before, I would say about 90% of the food in the supermarkets, normally processed, come out of tins or packets or whatever. But for example, if you're having sugar like, like processed foods, junk food, chocolate, sweets, whatever, if you're having that kind of food, right, then you're just getting a mixture of chemicals and refined sugar, right, which is gonna be super high GI, right? So it's gonna spike your blood sugar generally. You're going to get this rush of insulin into the bloodstream. Your blood sugar is going to shoot up and then come back down again. Now, with the brain, the brain is the only. Well, actually, I don't know if it's the only, but I know the brain doesn't take on insulin, right? So, whereas the muscles, the liver, and the fat cells, when you eat something sugary, your body will pump out insulin, and muscle and liver will store a certain amount. I'll take a certain amount of it, and if it can't take all of it, then it'll go into the fat cells. But when you get that rush of sugar to the brain doesn't get any regulation from insulin, right? The brain doesn't get that. So what? You feel that crash, folks. You can probably relate to this now. Even if, say, for example, you get up in the morning, right? This is a very common thing, right, Drew? You get up in the morning and you have a bowl of cereal, right? A lot of people think that's the norm. Even if you're having something like, I don't know, you say you have oats in the morning, right? Which is obviously a better option to processed cereals. You're still having carbohydrates, right? So what's happening then is it's going to have an effect on your blood sugar levels. Even if you have carb like oats, which is high in fiber, it's still going to have an effect on that. And what you'll find is then a few hours later, because the brain doesn't get regulated by insulin, you'll get a crash. Sometimes not necessarily a crash, but you'll feel like, oh, I'm hungry again. And that becomes habit. And then you might have, let's say, for example, a very common thing people have for their lunch, a sandwich, right? Which we all know bread is, it's not like it's the devil, right? There's worse foods out there, but it's not ideal if you're looking to lose body fat and you're looking to, kind of, in a sense, I'm not going to say it's bad for your health, but that's another form of carbohydrates, right? So you're having that again, the same thing happens. So you get into the habit then. People just get into the habit and they, I'm hungry, I've got to eat, I'm hungry. And they're eating carbs every meal, mate, yeah? It's very common.
Exactly. It is, yeah. It's just how you start your day, right? For me, if I'm going to eat breakfast, then I'm gonna find something that is going to satiate me. It's going to be high in protein, high in fats, and lots of veggies. Again, we are on a different journey, okay? So you may not be to the point where you're eating lots of vegetables now, but I know that if I have that breakfast, it's going to keep me going for 4 to 5 hours rather than, like you said earlier, if you're reaching for a sugary cereal, which we've kind of been brainwashed into eating from TV commercials in the past, then I know that if I eat that, that's the end of my day, man. I know I'm going to overeat that day. No doubt about it. I can't control myself.
Sure.
I won't put myself in that situation either.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Eating processed foods is limitless, the amount I can eat.
Yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree. Sorry, I'm just recording this for the Instagram, mate. Just, give me a best pose, mate. Come on. You're a top model over there in UK. That's more like it, mate.
There you go.
Sorry about that, folks. Just Andrew striking a few poses there. No, I totally agree, though, mate. Like that, and that's exactly it. It's like people think it's extremely out of the ordinary to get up in the morning, for example, and have, like, if I do have breakfast, which I sometimes do on the weekends. I don't normally do it in the week because I do the intermittent fasting, but I'll have, let's say, some grass-fed steak, some grass-fed lean red meat, for example, Scotch fillet steak. I'll fry that in some coconut oil, maybe add some mushrooms and onions for flavor. And then I'll just have like maybe let's say half an avocado. So just so you know, folks, an avocado is like 80% fat, right? And there's like good fats. So lots of monounsaturated fats, some polyunsaturated fats in there as well. Heaps of fiber, lots of potassium, really, really nutritious, right? So that's just an example of, that's one of the only fruits actually which you'll get, which is just primarily fat. So anyway, I'll have half an avocado with that meal. As Andrew said, then I'll throw some veg in there. You don't have to go overboard with the veg to start with. Let's just say you just have a handful of leafy veg, like let's say some spinach. Chuck some cider vinegar on there, maybe squeeze a lemon to add some extra flavour. And then even if you, sometimes I like fry an egg as well. Actually, I've cut eggs out now because I think that might have been the culprit with my gut issues, to be honest. But anyway.
Egg whites with that, mate, because egg whites are known to cause inflammation and be toxic. So
That's
when you try the egg whites out and just popping the yolks in, and contrary to what most people believe out there when they have their egg white omelets, you should be doing the opposite, right?
That's exactly right. I don't know why I haven't tried doing that, because I know that as well. I read that in the book. It's a toxin actually called avidin in the egg whites.
Yes. A lot of people have big issues with eggs because of the egg whites, mate, not the egg yolks, contrary to what you may be fed in bodybuilding magazines and online. But I would definitely try just popping the yolks in there, see if that makes a difference for yourself.
Why have I not thought of that? Because I'm thinking, right, I want to get cholesterol in, because the folks, the listeners are going, like, what? You want to get your cholesterol in? You know? Yeah, no. That's another thing. We could do a whole episode on that.
I was actually doing, I'm actually going to bring that back in, but I was doing a couple of weeks where I was actually boosting my cholesterol quite a bit, and just for strength gains. You can do it for a bit of time, but you will get probably some issues with joint inflammation after doing it for too long. So, but even do it once a week. Like if you come in on like I used to do a long day and work Saturday, so I'd fast, and then I come in and like high fat, high cholesterol meals, low carbs, and felt awesome like for my next training session. So.
Yeah, exactly.
It is a shift in paradigm, because you've been fed bullshit by the doctors that you should keep your cholesterol super low, but there are studies coming in now showing more heart issues with people who have normal cholesterol levels and high cholesterol levels, right?
Exactly. And there's so much more to it than that. And that's the thing. It's like almost, why have they not moved with the times? Now, you can't always point the finger directly at the doctors, right, and the healthcare system, because
they have a hard job already sometimes.
Oh, exactly, mate. Like, I mean, they're overloaded.
It's like I was having a conversation I messaged my mother the other day, and I said about I was having gut issues post Africa, and she was like, "Have you been back to the doctor? Have you spoken to the doctor?" And she said, "No." I said, "No, I'm going to deal with it myself." Like I said, I'm going to figure this out myself, and then I've gradually got better as time has gone on. But I said to her, like, the doctor isn't always right.
No, that's exactly it.
And her response was, question mark. So I think it's kind of an old school mentality where you go to the doctor and you feel that they know everything, because they kind of...
Exactly, you put your trust in their hands.
They're not preventing certain things happening, are they? They're very good at giving pills sometimes.
Yeah.
Very good at, if you go in with a broken leg, they're very good at fixing that. Operations, fantastic at that. Sometimes we need to put preventative measures in place, like we're talking about with diet and cutting out artificial sweeteners 90% of the time, sugar, etc. And then you're going to feel better long term. So
that's exactly right. And that's it. Like you go to the doctors, and like Andrew was saying, then when it comes to cholesterol and stuff like that, it's not really their fault. Like I said, it's almost like back in the 80s or whenever it was, when actually it was before that. It was like the late 1960s when all the corruption went on in terms of sugar being good for us and fat being demonized, and that's when cholesterol is like a fatty acid, basically. It transports fatty acids, and you'll find cholesterol within foods high in saturated fats, much like egg yolks. But cholesterol was in...
Right?
What's that?
Which we were told to avoid for a long time.
Exactly, we were told to avoid, and it was demonized. Cholesterol is really, really bad and all this kind of stuff, but there's a lot more to it to that. And actually, 75 to 9... Oh, wow, this book. I'm glad I read this book, Drew. I feel on fire today.
You start reading a little.
I'll send that book over to you, buddy. Nah, you're on form, bro. 75 to 90% of the cholesterol in the body, 75 to 90% of the cholesterol is actually produced in the body anyway. So, and apparently what they're finding in studies now is foods which are higher in processed foods and refined sugars will actually increase the bad types of cholesterol within your body. That's right, folks. So eating the wrong kinds of foods, processed foods, sugary foods, junk food, that and overeating carbohydrates, that can have an effect on the bad types of cholesterol. And then obviously the other lifestyle factors come into it as well. So But yeah, as you were saying then, Joe, I just had a switch go off in my head when you said about cholesterol, and you noticed strength gains on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had the same as well, but I'm gonna bring creatine in next week. And I remember last time,
a long time actually, man.
Brother, honestly, going back to supplements, folks. Yeah, I mean, get on it, Drew. What was the effects you had last time you took it, mate? Did you notice a difference, or?
I can't even remember the last time I took it. It was probably, probably like maybe 10 years ago now, I'd imagine.
Yeah? Oh, gee, mate.
Yes.
Mate. Seriously, right? I was going to say then, I got a bit excited then. What's
the last
that?
10 years. It's probably why I haven't had a gain in the last 10 years.
Behave, mate. Like you were saying then about cholesterol, so what I'll do then next week is I'll bring egg yolks back in. I completely forgot about that, man. Why didn't I do that? I thought, oh no, I can't have eggs full stop, knowing full well it's the egg whites which are bad. Anyway, I'll increase my cholesterol next week and bring creatine at the same time. Let's see what happens. Double whammy, mate. But yeah, folks, creatine is the only supplement, it's been around for years, right? It's the only supplement which scientific evidence to prove, proper evidence, to prove it actually works, yeah?
Exclamation marks, legal.
Yeah, exactly. Creatine, folks, for if you're lifting weights, recovery, strength gains, building muscle, you name it. Get yourself some good quality stuff, though. What type
of creatine are you using? Like, just to give the listeners?
I'm using this one over here called Creapure from Premium Powders. So yeah, in Australia, and that's another thing, folks. Just like any other supplement, there's a lot of crap ones out there, and apparently the way they make creatine, a lot of it comes from over in China. I'm not going to go into details, but do your research when you get it, because you're putting some nasty stuff into your body if you don't get stuff which has been probably a little tiny bit more expensive, but it's going to be much better, and probably just better in general in terms of the amount of actual creatine monohydrate in it.
Is it regulated in Australia then? Because I know America is non-regulated, the supplement industry, so there's a lot of issues like...
Brother, what is regulated in America?
And that is, mate. You've got a good... You're pretty much poisonous foods into yourself every day.
Right.
All lotions are poisonous. There's extra chemicals in them that you don't see abroad or in Europe. It's crazy.
Exactly,
and the cancer is on the rise as well. So,
do you know what's crazy out in America, Drew, is the glyphosate thing as well, isn't it? They don't by law, they don't have to label, they don't have to tell people. How criminal is that? So glyphosate is like a herbicide, isn't it?
Everything is just a massive industry here, as it is probably across the world, but it just seems to be on a scale here. It's just like... they're trying to push as many pharmaceutical drugs on you as they can, so the sicker they make you, the better for them and their profit, So, as you can see with the new, I'm sure governments of the past as well, but the new government, they don't seem to have any concern about the general people or general population. They're just concerns about making money for themselves, as most governments do, But it's non-regulation of supplements. I think they've been finding like mercury and things like that in some of the better supplements over here. There's a new list that's being released now. Some of them are organic, and I think like Vega protein, things like that, have been top of this list. So these are supposed to be the quality brands that you're out there buying. And there's a lot of issues with them, mate. And,
I know.
It's pretty scary,
It's crazy because there's so much corruption going on over there, isn't there, in terms of like...
Let's look at you've got to look at every government for corruption.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But every government, mate,
They couldn't give a shit about you.
They couldn't give mate. It's all the people at the top. It benefits their pockets and keeps them happy, isn't it?
That's all the more reason for you to look after yourself.
Definitely.
More reason to eat whole natural foods and avoid certain things,
Thank you, Drew. Thanks for saying that. And that's exactly it, folks. Like, tuning into podcasts like this is real talk. We've been sucked into, eating the wrong foods for years. Even if Andrew and I have always been in shape, like, trust me, internally, I dread to think what was going on inside our body about, let's say 2 to 3 years ago. Like, even then, like, to the average person, we were super healthy.
Yeah, of course.
Think about it. I think I was worse than you, to be honest. Go on.
In terms of like what we were eating, it was like a standard bodybuilder's diet, right? Which is again deemed to be healthy, but it's not, is it really?
No, it's not, mate. It's nothing more unhealthy.
It was the same foods day in, day out, eating every 2 to 3 hours, not giving your body enough chance to rest. It was
nothing worse.
Rice, broccoli, chicken, rice, plain chicken, no seasoning.
No, it's terrible for the body.
fat.
I know, and eating little and often as well, folks. Right, I just want to put this one out there now. Like me, Andrew and I'll give you a little insight into this now. So another recent podcast I listened to, right? A doctor, really, I can't think what his name is, but anyway, four times a day, and it does make sense. He says you shouldn't put anything in your mouth more than 4 times a day for overall health. Even when it comes to, well, let's not go into fat loss too much. Let's just talk about health and longevity right now. So you have a circadian rhythm, right? So every 4 hours, the body has to work hard. I mean, 60% of your calories burnt on average, let's say, just to keep you alive, right? Just for your organs and for your circadian rhythm and your body to work in sync, right? So that's that. But if you're stuffing food into your mouth, or even if it's like, oh, okay, I'll have a snack every couple of hours, you're still putting your body to work, and you're putting your body under a lot of stress, and you're really putting your circadian rhythm out of whack by doing that. So intermittent fasting, I can see why, obviously going without food has its benefits, loads of different benefits, as Drew and I done a podcast on it before, but just eating less frequently, folks. There's so many, I could go on forever about it, but you do that as well now, right?
Yeah, but what about old school bodybuilders? I remember guys when I was growing up, and they were setting their alarm for like 3-4 in the morning to sink they had a protein shake by the side of their bed, right, or chicken breast.
Exactly.
And they would stop. Basically, you're already disrupting your sleep, which is vitally important, right?
Yeah.
Probably one of the most important factors in your body, 100%. Sleeping, right?
Yeah.
You're doing that. You're not giving your gut enough time to settle, replenish, repair your muscles. Recovery, right? And you're waking yourself up at 3 in the morning to sink a processed protein shake.
It's insane, isn't it?
It's mental, man. I'm sure they're still doing that now, though.
Mate, it is. Mate, honestly, I'm not going to use percentages here because I'm starting to sound a bit like Carl Vorderman, buddy. I don't know what's going on here with all these numbers. Imagine the amount of people out there who still think, because it's still mainstream, eating little and often, eating regular. People who want to build muscle. Let's just say. You follow people on Instagram or whatever, and they're giving you this diet plan where it's like 6 meals a day, the bodybuilding, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry nowadays are doing fitness competitions and men's physique bodybuilding, and then all of a sudden they'll do a competition, and then before you know it, all of a sudden they step off stage, they're a nutritionist, and it's like, well, no, take a step back a minute, because like, you know what I mean? And like, I fell into that trap as well. I was giving people wrong advice back in the day when I'd done a few shows. I thought, oh yeah, I learned, eating 6 times a day and eating these foods are good. And I'm going to track back a bit, and I actually fell into that myself. So.
Yeah, but listen, it worked optimally for you at the time, right? It worked to get you where you needed to be. So you can't knock it too much in terms of you going from being a personal trainer then to being a professional fitness
when it comes to stepping on stage, but not for health. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly, mate.
Yeah.
So that you used it as a tool at the time. But that's probably not the best advice for your average Joe who's just looking to get healthy and in shape.
No, exactly. That's it. And that's what that Dr. Serrato was saying. He was saying if you're going to do a competition, if you're going to eat 6 to 8 meals a day, you're going to do that for X amount of time, please stop doing that. Once you finish your comp, go back to giving your body, let's just to simplify it, give your body a break. Do you know what I'm saying? Give your body a break, man.
Nourishing your body, right?
Yeah. That's it. That's the most important thing, is eating the right foods. Isn't it?
What usually happens after a competition where you've been there before, right? And I have, where we eat endlessly and like amounts of junk food, binge badly for a couple of weeks, then your mentality is right. The only way I can get out of this now is to go back to 6 meals a day, chicken, rice, broccoli.
That's what
Go back to training 6-7 days a week, a high intensity interval training. Weight sessions once, twice a day.
Exactly.
And that's the only way you know how to get yourself out of that hole.
Exactly. That's it. I would say, folks, I would say just go for like 3 meals a day, right, Drew? If you can
I'm happy. Sometimes I'll have one big meal, man. I love that.
Yeah.
Or I'll have 2 or 3. It depends on.
That's the same as me. That's the same as me. But like, that's a bit extreme for the average listener. When they say they're going for like six meals a day. Oh, one big meal. That is a dream, isn't it? One big meal. You're like, there, you got a table full of food, haven't you? That's the Italian coming out of you there, mate. That is.
It's the fat Italian.
It's a spicy meatball, huh?
Hey, come on.
Mamma mia.
We hit some nice Italian when we were in New York as well. How many large pizza eats? Remember in Grimaldi's?
Oh, mate, Grimaldi's. Oh, tell him.
Remember that?
Yeah, tell him.
A Grimaldi's restaurant. I think we'd already hit. It was after your comp, so I think this is when you turned pro, right? Was it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So ultimately, this is first time in New York. I remember my first time in New York. I tried every food under the sun. And that was hard for me. I was skeptical about it because I was going through that phase where I only had chicken, broccoli, and rice. So I got taken out of that for a week. But we went to different restaurants. So I think we were in. We've been blasting food all week, and I wanted to take you to my favorite pizza joint, Grimaldi's in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I think we were in the queue for it, or lining up for it.
Yeah.
Right? We
it was
went
embarrassing.
To Shake Shack, the line. So we popped into Shake Shack.
We had a shake beforehand, just little starters.
I was a calorie shake just for starters. And then we got inside and we ordered a large, meatball, pepperoni pizza each.
We deserve a medal for that. I'm sure we were the only people ever to order a large pizza each, the way you looked at us.
He said nobody's ever done this. He said, like, I'm warning. It was like a health warning on it. The way that nobody's ever done this. I'd advise you against it. I think we smashed one each. Did we have dessert there?
Do you know what was embarrassing, though, Drew? Can you remember this? We walked in there, right, and when he brought the pizzas over, because they're so... And I'm not joking, folks. I don't know what the size of these pizzas are, bro, but Jesus.
New York. So if you order a large, it's a family size, right?
Exactly, mate.
You're going to feed a family of 5.
Oh, mate, it was like the biggest pizza I've ever seen by a long shot. It was twice as big as any pizza I've ever seen, and he brought them over, and he couldn't fit them. They couldn't fit them on the table we were on, and obviously it was full in the restaurant. And he's like, "Oh, guys, I'm gonna have to move you over to another table." Everyone looks up, like, "Look at these two here!" Like, you know what I mean, big, large pizza. We had to move us to another table because he couldn't fit them on the table, and we didn't. We were struggling to finish it, weren't we? And that's saying something, and what's that saying? For me and you, not to finish something like what's?
Did we make it, or do we have a slice or two left?
I think we had like a slice or two left, and I think I just had the topping off the last two slices and left the bread.
And you had cheesecake afterwards, right?
Yeah, so I think I had like 2 cheesecakes.
And a steak and fried.
I remember we went to the stadium. Watched that Brooklyn Nets play basketball. We had a New York cheesecake, I think 1 or 2 slices each, and then we went to that other place that you like afterwards, then, which was a bit healthier, right? Justifying it.
No, you had.
And then we had a cheesecake.
Fried cheesecake to top that off. So.
Oh yeah, okay, it wasn't healthy then. So that's just.
We've progressed from that.
What's that?
We've progressed from then. Binge eating disorder, I think that was.
Definitely,
we discussed in the podcast.
Just come back to me then, mate, what you were mentioning earlier. I want to track back to, can you remember the diet plan you had off that bodybuilder when you lived out in Australia?
Yeah, it was, I think the amount of protein was that, I've probably got it online here, but on email.
Well, I followed it, didn't I?
Yeah, you followed it. Worked, though, mate. It worked.
Oh, yeah, it did. I got stacked.
Where we wanted to be, right?
Yeah. It's in a calorie surplus, though, all the time, so... No.
But again, it was so black and white, and this is the problem with meal plans, right? That I would be sitting there with my wife and my sister, right? And there would be conflict because I would only eat what was on the meal plan. I couldn't figure out how to replace certain foods.
Yeah.
So if it was chicken breast, I had to have a chicken breast.
Obsessive.
Yeah. When I went out to eat, or I actually went to a food festival one day. This is how it was, right? I went to a food festival. Now, if I went to a food festival these days, my aim would be to enjoy all the foods there, right? And just taste them. And then I know how to combat how I'm feeling the next day. I may go lighter the next day if I've overdone it. But then I went to this food festival and didn't try anything. Right?
Oh, mate, really?
This was my rigid meal plan.
Yeah.
I would not eat anything there. It's pathetic, really.
Well, look how far you've come, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and that's going to cause conflict.
Yeah.
And
what would you do now, though, and what would you do now? Sorry to interrupt. What would you do if you went to a food festival now, right? Because my state of mind is, right, if I want the food, I'll have it, but I'm aware of the stuff that I'm putting into my body, and I'm mindful of it, and I'm paying attention to how I feel the next day in my stomach. I don't know about you.
No, same, mate. It's like now I would just enjoy myself for the day. I probably, like, say I was going there 2 in the afternoon, right? So I probably just fast until that moment.
Same.
Just enjoy that, and then I know then the next couple of days I'll just go a little lighter on my calories.
Yeah,
I'll be back in. So say it was on a Sunday, I'll be good by Wednesday. There's no issue. But then that was causing me to be in a foul mood when I was there. That would put me in a bad mood.
Yeah, of course.
And it spreads to everyone around you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and do you know what that is? Because you were telling yourself, you were into the mindset of saying, I can't have it. You weren't allowing yourself to have it. You weren't saying to yourself, oh no, I choose not to have that because I don't actually want it. You were telling yourself, you were restricting. And man, I've got to say, Drew, about I wanted to bring this up as well now. So I met Andrew in Vegas. Don't know if I've told the listeners before. Not in Vegas, sorry. We went to Vegas on a stag do. I'd met him once before, but
we talked once before, I think, and that was it.
That's it, and we hit it off, man. It was love at first sight. That's the waiting to happen, shall I say? And Andrew, I'll never forget, right? Andrew on this trip, guys. Right? I was at that point. I wasn't really. I mean, No, I wasn't eating. I wasn't educated. I wasn't eating healthy, really. I was in good shape, but I was in really good shape, actually. I probably had more muscle mass than I have now. Speak for yourself. No, I wasn't in better shape than I am now, but I was definitely bigger, more mass. But yeah, I was just eating like McDonald's and stuff. Obviously, we were drinking every day. Andrew would be there in McDonald's having like the worst thing you would have. The worst thing would be porridge in McDonald's. He'd be there. We'd all be eating. Andrew would be there with his nuts. And this is how you were, wasn't it, Drew? Like you were like, listen, I've never witnessed anything like it, and I've got to say, like,
crazy, man.
It's mad, isn't it?
That's a.
You always had abs, though, mate. So that's all I'm at the time.
But I'm in better shape now than I was then.
Well, mate,
I enjoy myself.
You're in the shape of your life now, buddy. I've got to say.
You know, you understand what I mean? So, like, I put myself through that torment when I was on like holiday, man. I should have been just relaxed and enjoying myself. This 1 week off your diet. Because I had like a set plan or something in my head, or I think at the time I was following a paleo diet. I was doing CrossFit at the time.
So paleo, folks, that's just like animal proteins and veg, basically, isn't it?
Yeah, that was it. And I couldn't eat off that. I was like, this is the diet. I was telling everyone this is how you should eat, this and that.
Yeah.
Like,
that's it.
teaching it. I was CrossFit a little bit, and
Gospel.
even when I was away, I just could not do it. Like, and I was in Vegas. I should have been with you guys, enjoying a meal with you. You know, being social, but instead I was there. I think there was like a food court in the MGM Grand, right? Between the MGM Grand and the Signature. And I was just eating like veggies and chicken.
Exactly.
And you were eating McDonald's and just chilled and relaxed, having fun. And it's just pretty pathetic looking back. But at least I've stepped up now and I've come far on that journey.
Well, that's exactly it. And that goes to show, like we were saying about the psychological side of it. It's like, you know, what drove you to do that? And obviously, we said before, like some of it stems from insecurities, but you know, it's a male thing as well. You know, guys want to be in good shape. Andrew and I have always been active and sporty individuals, and we've been training for a long time. Exercise and activity is just a way of life for us, how we've been brought up and stuff. But then it led to lifting weights and being in shape. And then, as you said, like you're always comparing yourself to others, isn't it? Like you're in Vegas, there's a lot of people there in good shape, and you're aware of that before you go, right? So you're like, right, I got to keep everything on point now. But for me, when I was there, I was like, right, I'm enjoying myself, and I went all out. But you were the only one out of the 9 of us. Although, mates, did you enjoy yourself? Obviously you did. You're in New York. You're in New York now with your wife who you met there, right? So you've done okay out of that, mate. So eating those nuts and porridge done something for you, buddy. So maybe you should stick to that.
That's sacrifice work.
Exactly.
Sacrifice worked out well, isn't it?
Exactly. You met the love of your life, mate, doing that. So happy days, man. Maybe I'll try it.
Justifying it. No, but that was still like that's still probably the best trip of my life, like up there, you know.
Oh, definitely.
So, no complaints. But that is a disorder. That's an eating disorder. That looking back,
definitely, it's a trip of life. Listen, man, we're gonna have to. I could talk forever, mate, about this now, and I got loads of stuff I can still talk about. But what are we? 48 minutes in now, and I've got to get to work for a client. Nice. So I'm gonna have to cut this off, mate. Did you have any? We covered a few different things there. Did you have any tips for the listeners or anything? Any advice you'd like to give them? Cap it off.
Well, just again, that proves to you that it is a process, like, and that's a long journey. When was that? That's 7 or 8 years ago now.
2011. I think.
At the time, I wasn't able to establish that I had an issue. I thought I was like being really healthy, and I was proactive in helping other people and trying to push them into eating the same way. But now looking back, I would never put that on anyone else.
Yeah.
So remember, it's a process. So if you are going through things like this, hopefully it'll change and it'll get better in time, and you will then improve overall health in the future. Exactly. Because, you know, I'm still learning now, and I'm sure Martin's still learning.
And they want to look good, right? So Andrew looks good all year round, right? So they're gonna get to a point where they're gonna look, because good health will determine how you look, right? And that's just in a nutshell, right? I'm just gonna say that again. Good health will determine how you look. I'm the healthiest I've been, mentally and physically, and I look the best I ever have without thinking about it. So put that together. Same as you, Drew, right?
Yeah, but, you know, good health can be from your skin, from how you move.
Yeah, exactly.
It can be anything.
Sleep.
It's not just on a set of abs. Like,
no, it's not.
Then I had abs, but my health obviously wasn't good mentally.
No.
And I'm sure my physical health wasn't that good either compared to what it is now.
No, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah, and I just wanted to say to people, when it comes to diets, like, you know, like we mentioned the paleo diet there, you know, people label things, you know, like so fasting, the keto diet, all these things, right? Bear in mind, right, okay, out of all of them, I'm going to say, okay, fasting is, okay, I'm not going to call that a diet. That's definitely not a diet. That's something that's been around for millennia, ancient times, okay? The body is accustomed to fasting, right? We've had to fast for long periods of of scarcity in the past, right, where we'd have no food. We would have to go without food, right? So, but I'm not going to go into it. We had an episode on this before. You might want to tune into that. Fasting has so many benefits, and I'm really passionate about it because it's changed the game for me with my relationship with food. But that's the bottom of the list. You need to focus on eating the right foods, right? And out of all these diets and stuff, right, if you're going to follow one, let's just say, out of all, like I'm going to say the paleo diet, right, the foundation of the paleo diet is pretty good, really, if you think about it. Okay, lots of vegetables. All the food is meant to be whole foods, right? Good quality meats. And a little bit of fruit here and there, and it's a very nutrient-dense, I'm going to say that word, I hate saying it, diet, right? It's a nutrient-dense way of eating, right, if you do it properly, but don't get dogmatic with it, because the thing is, with nutrition in the fitness industry, people take shit, run with it, they get dogmatic with it, and then it's like, oh, like you just said then, Drew, oh, this is the diet that works. It's like, no, the bottom line is you need to find balance, you need to look after your body, and just try and eat right, you know, for the most part. That's. I mean, it's always the same sort of shit. I'm telling them, really.
It's about picking the best from all these different diets, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that a whole natural foods and paleo diet? Then keto, you might want to increase your fats for health reasons. Then for vegans, if you're a vegan who eats a lot of vegetables, then I would definitely encourage anyone who's on a standard American or British diet to increase their vegetable intake, and then just take the best bits from there and the best bits that work for you, because we all are individuals.
Definitely.
So a paleo diet may work for this person. Yep. When you try it, you may have issues. It may not be best for you. So everyone is individual. Follow your own path and your own process, and you'll get there eventually.
Awesome. Yeah, if you've got any questions regarding nutrition and stuff, or any questions you want to ask us regarding what we've talked about, or anything at all, Drew and I, you can just drop me a DM, and Andrew's at Instagram at Mr. Bond Fitness, so drop him a message, feel free to, or you can just drop me an email. My email address is linked to my Instagram. I think yours is as well, Drew, right? Is it linked to your Instagram?
Yes, it's simple enough. It's mrbondfitness@gmail.com.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. So stay tuned, and don't forget to give Andrew a follow, right? Because he's always putting good content out there. And I've got this webinar coming up as well, where it's going to be a free webinar, so I'll keep you posted on that. And I also, that's what I forgot to mention, I've got Lindy Cohen, a nutritionist, on the show next Friday. So that's going to be awesome. It's going to be some good advice going down there, and it should be a good fun one. So tune into that one next week, and thank you for listening. Nice one, Joe. I really appreciate it, bro.
No worries. Thanks for that, mate.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.